Hi everyone! Australia is a beautiful place with incredible nature and nice people. But if you spend a lot of time on the internet, you might have heard that you should never visit this country. Why? Well, we're going to try to explain it to you now. So, here are 10 reasons why you shouldn't go to Australia. Let's get it on. Ocean current. Do you prefer a lazy beach vacation or love swimming near the coast and sunbathing? Well, we're sorry to disappoint you, but you're not very likely to find a decent beach in Australia. Of course, there are beaches there, but the ocean's never calm enough, and this is why Australian coasts are perfect for surfing. But suppose you're lucky, the water's warm, there's almost no waves around and you're ready to dive in. But suddenly you notice a warning about sharks, or jellyfish, or poisonous fish, or some other underwater animals that would be happy to share some of their venom with you or have you as a snack. And even if there are no dangerous creatures, there's always the chance you'll get drawn into the ocean by a strong underwater current. Of course, there are many beach rescuers around, but anyway, being dragged away from the coast into the ocean is not the best experience in the world. Cassowary. What? Am I supposed to be scared of this bird? You might ask. You are right, it does look like a weird hybrid between an ostrich and a turkey, and it doesn't exactly look scary, but in spite of its appearance, this bird is in the Guinness World Records as the most dangerous bird in the world. It has a sharp beak and long, strong claws, but its most important feature is its nasty temper. Everything irritates this bird. Actually, this creature is totally unpredictable because it always attacks first. And that's a real problem. The average cassowary's height is about 6.5 feet, and it weighs about 180 pounds. And like if that weren't enough, cassowaries can speed up to 30 miles per hour, jump 5 feet in the air, and they're extremely good at swimming, so it's almost impossible to run away from this angry bird. Snakes. We're gonna be straight with you. Most snakes in Australia are venomous, and there are a lot of them, and they're practically everywhere. Fortunately, Australian snakes don't usually attack people, and when they do it in self-defense. But that's no consolation for when you suddenly find a snake in the toilet tank, under your bed, or in the middle of a supermarket. Even if you stay alert 24/7, you'll scream like crazy if you almost step on a snake. Besides, there's a snake known as a taipan that lives everywhere in Australia, and it's extremely dangerous. A person bitten by a taipan will die in 4 hours before getting to a hospital. Ugh. This snake doesn't like to think twice and tends to attack immediately as soon as it sees an enemy. Therefore, you probably won't have time to Google it up and see how dangerous it actually is. Spiders. If you suffer from arachnophobia, the fear of spiders, you definitely shouldn't go to Australia. Because just like snakes, they are everywhere. You can see them in basements, hotels, cafes, parks, beaches, and even in the sink. Obviously not all of them are the size of your palm, although you can find some big ones. However, you should actually be afraid of the small and more venomous spiders. Anyway, each one of these creatures will try to bite you if it feels danger, so keep calm and don't attack it with a mop. Some of them are very good at jumping. By the way, don't forget about a phenomenon called raining spiders. It's not a myth, it's really a rain of spiders. It's the way they travel around, using the wind and their webs as parachutes. And believe us, they don't really care where they land, on a tree or on your head. Sun. If you're in Australia for the first time, you might think that the sun, along with the spiders, the snakes, and other creatures, is trying to kill you. And it does feel like that. Just when the clouds part, it feels like there's a huge radiator in the sky, and the Earth is just a huge grill, even if it was quite cold just a couple of minutes ago. Some people say it's all because of an ozone hole somewhere above the south part of the continent, and that makes Australians the most susceptible people to skin cancer, although scientists haven't confirmed that yet. Anyway, if your skin is white, you will probably get burnt on the first day of your vacation, so don't forget to use sunscreen and dress properly. Dingo. We all know that man tamed dogs a very long time ago, so long that we forgot they used to be wild wolves. Maybe the difference between a tamed and a wild animal is not that big, and the example for that would be the dingo. It was tamed some time ago, but then it returned to its natural habitat. Nowadays, dingoes look like their ancestors, the Indonesian wolves, and they're almost impossible to tame. Dingoes usually attack livestock. They just go into human territory and have their lunch right in the enclosure. Now they live across the whole country, and their reputation scares locals and tourists alike. We wouldn't say these cute doggos attack people a lot, but still, you have to remember that they're almost wolves, so don't try and pet them. Anyway, some of the smartest tourists take the risk and feed the dingoes. We'd like to see them run away screaming and swearing. It must be an amazing show. Fire ants. One of the biggest problems for the people living on Australia is ants. And not some normal ants, but fire ants, which are not very pleasant neighbours. One anthill can contain hundreds of thousands of insects, and if you bother them just a little bit, they will attack you back. The bite of these venomous ants causes strong allergic reactions, blisters, swelling, and pain shock. So, as you've already guessed, this usually ends really badly, especially for those who are allergic to them. By the way, they appeared on the continent by accident, but then they started reproducing really quickly. Now they live across the whole country, and they get into houses and different devices, which often causes short circuits and fires. Also, many wild and domestic animals suffer because of them. The government's spending millions of dollars to get rid of the fire ants, but unfortunately, the ants are winning. Stinging brush. Do you still feel like you want to go to Australia? Then it's time for you to know that even plants are evil in this country. The evilest one is the stinging brush, also known as Gympie, known to man. You can feel the sting for 2 years after the alligators. Now tell us, what do you know about alligators, apart from the fact that they're dangerous toothed reptiles? We looked it up, and we learnt that in the last decades, the population of alligators grew so much in Australia that now they're a real problem for the locals. If you think you can escape the danger by staying away from the water, you are wrong. The problem will just come to you. Literally. These huge reptiles are so bold that they just get near people's houses and wait until someone feeds them a dog, for example. We're not kidding. Hungry crocodiles can even get into houses if people don't lock their doors. And you probably won't have the chance to swim in Australian waters because there are even more reptiles there. So decide for yourself if you really want to go to this country. Perenti.